Views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the producer and those appearing in the show and do not necessarily represent the views of DerryCam, the Town of Derry, or any of its staff or affiliates. Hi, I'm Anthony Henry. Welcome back to America's Ass. We're on episode 68. I did get the episode number right this time. Last week with Chris Bright, I think I said 70-something, but it is 68 today. I am here with Senator Dan Innis.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on. Please tell the audience about yourself.
Wow. Okay. Dan Innis, state senator from District 7. I live in beautiful Bradford, where I co-own a Wagyu farm. We have 40 head on site. Beautiful place. All organic, regenerative agriculture. We're trying to do it right. Bunch of chickens running around laying eggs. A few goats for some unknown reason. But I've been in New Hampshire since 2007, and I came here to be dean of the Whittemore School at the University of New Hampshire, which is now the Paul College of Business and Economics. And that was a building I helped build with Peter Paul's help, of course, and many others. $50 million project that really doubled the size of our business school enrollment, and we built it all without state money, the only academic building at the university ever built without state money. And I've done a couple businesses in the Seacoast, 2 inns and a hotel, the Hotel Portsmouth. And I've been in the Senate now state Senate for 3 terms. This is my 3rd term. The first term was over in the Seacoast, where I lived in Newcastle. And the sad thing is, Anthony, I was probably the last Republican state senator from that area of the state, given the demographic changes that have taken place there. I don't know whether to be proud of that or sad about it. I think the latter. But happy to be here. I love this state, its people, everything that we do, and this is home.
Well, thank you for coming on. We're going to start with a depressing topic, but a topic that needs discussing nonetheless. I'm sure everyone already knows by now. Earlier this week, Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of thousands of people, and even more live on camera. And it affected me in a way that I can't really describe quite yet. And I don't really think people have totally grappled with it yet.
Yeah, I think our world changed a couple days ago, and it was just about 48 hours ago that I first got the news. And I was preparing to go down to my second class of the day, which began at 3:40, but I get there at 3:30. And I got a text from a friend, and it was one of shock. And then the next text came from my daughter. She was furious. And I got the news, and it was like getting punched in the gut. So I went down, walked into the classroom, and the students knew. And the looks on their faces, it brought me back to 9/11 and the looks that people had then. It was that significant for young people. And I watched, Anthony, last year as my students, who historically vote Democrat, I watched them move toward the president. And I'm trying not to get emotional here, but it was Charlie who helped that to happen. He opened their eyes, and he did what I as a professor strive to do every day in the classroom, and that's to get young people to think, to open their minds, to explore, to dive into subjects instead of just skating across them on social media. He was succeeding beautifully, and he was hated for it, which is hard for me to understand. I don't have hate in my heart. I do have anger, but I don't have hate. And I don't have the capacity to hate, I don't think. So it's really foreign to me when people engage in heinous acts like this based on hate and fear. Because the best way to confront those things that scare you is to go right at them, right? You have to do it. It'll make you better, it'll make you stronger, and you just might change the world. I don't know. It was a hard day, as you noted. But I'll say further, I think yesterday, it was really yesterday, as I processed, I changed. I changed dramatically. I'm a different person today than I was 2 days ago. hope it's for the better. But I'm done tolerating the hate. I'm going to speak out against it. I'm going to fight back against this evil that is corrupting a large number of people in this country. I've never seen or felt anything like this, and I don't know how we got here. But I'm an optimist. I'm a man of faith, and I believe that God is with us, and we're going to get through this. That doesn't mean it'll be easy. Anything that is as tumultuous as this is difficult. I think we can do it. And I think President Trump is the right leader at this time to be taking us through something as significant as this. He has been beyond presidential, really, this entire term. Occasionally, he's old Donald Trump, but he's grown too. And I think overall, we're in a good spot, but we have a big problem.
So I'll give my story of two days ago. I was watching this show that I stumbled upon on Netflix called American Manhunt. I was watching the Boston bomber. They do a different manhunt every season. I was watching the Boston bomber one. And I got a text from my friend saying Charlie Kirk has been shot. Yeah. About 10 seconds after I got that text, I got social media notifications, Twitter, Truth Social. I got all of them at once. And then more texts came. I unfortunately saw the video because someone
Couldn't watch.
someone posted it. I unfortunately could not avoid it. Yeah. But I knew as soon as I saw it, it wasn't going to be good.
That's what my spouse said too. He said no one survives that.
Yeah, and I decided to just take a walk. I took a walk for about an hour, just walked around a couple streets around me. Mm-hmm. I cleared my head. Yeah. And by the time I had gotten back home, the news had broke that he had died. That day, I do too. And that day, I was going to go to Manchester City Hall. I don't know if anyone has heard, our former guest, Joe Kelly Lavasser, they're trying to do a coup against him again. And they were going to do a rally outside Manchester City Hall, and that was scheduled for then. I arrive, and people were there. And we learned when we got there that they had canceled it, but we were still there. We chose not to protest, but we did choose to stand there and pray for America. Yes. And right after that, I went to an AFP event about 5 minutes away at Murphy's Tap Room.
Love that place.
And they were doing a discussion on health care. Yeah. It was Greg Moore, Executive Counselor John Stephen, and Representative Mark McLean. Mm-hmm. And they started it by saying, we thought about canceling this event today, but we chose not to because Charlie wouldn't have wanted us to cancel this.
Probably not.
Because this is what Charlie did. Yeah. He had these discussions without fear. And I got home later and looked at my phone. I had over 100 texts from classmates, legislators that I know on both sides of the aisle, family. I had so many messages. And I paid special attention to the messages from my classmates. Many of them asked the same thing. Why would this happen? And what do we do now?
Yeah.
And I struggled to answer it, but best thing I can say is we press on.
We press on, and that's all we can do. And as you said, that's what Charlie would have wanted. You know, Turning Point will need some support. I think they'll get it. I think we'll see contributions to the organization skyrocket. And hopefully the legacy will move forward. I think it will, because I think what happened was so significant, especially to young people, that it sort of altered the orbit of things. And it's going to be a very, very different country going forward. That can be great. That can be tough. It's probably going to be a little of both.
It will. And the last thing I'll say on it, I met Charlie Kirk 4 years ago. Yeah. I was 13. It was July of 2021. And I went to Student Action Summit in Tampa. Yeah. It was a life-changing weekend. I got to meet governors, congressmen. I made a ton of friends that I still have today, activists from all over the country. And I got to meet Charlie Kirk. The interaction lasted somewhere between 15 to 30 seconds because there was obviously a huge line waiting to meet him.
Good, though.
But man, that changed me, meeting him. And 2 weeks later, keep in mind, this was 2021, this was COVID.
Yes.
2 weeks later, I would attend my first school board meeting. And I would speak to government for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And if you watch this show now, you know I'm entering my third year as student member of that same school board, and I'm entering my second year on the school district budget committee. Had I not shaken Mr. Kirk's hand that day,
Yeah.
nothing that I do now, whether it be this show, whether it be what I've done for school board, being a member of LIAC with James Tebow, who's been on the show plenty of times, had that not happened, I would not be where I am today. And I am one of many.
Isn't that fascinating, though? And what I'd say to that, Anthony, is that he had an outsized impact. But I want to say to everyone who might be watching and to you, we all have major impacts on people's lives, and we sometimes don't know it. As an educator, as a politician, and sometimes they'll tell you that. Charlie doesn't know what he did for you and what he did for all of us through you. But he did that to so many people. And I would say if someone ever has a huge impact on your life, tell them later. Tell them later. Charlie has done that for all of us, and we can pray to him and hope he hears us. His legacy will go on for a long, long time.
And now we will do what he would have wanted us to do and
Move on
and talk the issues.
Yes, let's go.
So, Senator Innis is running for the U.S. Senate.
Yes, sir.
What made you decide to run?
Well, let me preface this by saying I had no desire to go to Washington, D.C., right? I mean, it's a mess. And hopefully things will get better. I think they are. We've got a nice position for our party down there right now, and I think we can build on that. But I looked at this race and said, gee, if I don't do this, I'm afraid Chris Pappas is going to win the general election. And you can infer whatever you want from that statement. But I'm afraid Chris Pappas will win the general election. And if that happens, he'll be in that seat for 30 years. Right? He'll run for 5 terms. I can't do that. I just can't. And after what happened 2 days ago, I feel even more strongly about that. We have to take our country back from people who don't respect us or this nation or its foundation or even the Constitution. And we need to put people in Washington, D.C. who represent what we want in New Hampshire, live free or die. And if you look at some of the votes that Mr. Pappas has taken, they are not consistent with what we believe in. And I won't run through the list of issues, but that's why I got into it, because I think I have the right background and experience. And importantly, since I got here in 2007, if you think about where I've been and what I've done, I came into UNH. I've seen 18 years. 18 years. Gosh, I'm getting old. 18 years of students coming through that university. I've gotten to know them. I've taught them. I've worked with them. I know what our young people are experiencing, feeling. I know what they fear, and I know what they want. So I understand our youth. And in the St. Anselm poll, I'm winning the youth across the board. One of the few things where I was leading in that poll. But I've also got deep experience in the state. As a senator from 2 different districts, I was in Newcastle, completely different socially, culturally, on the seacoast.
Geographically.
Right. And now I'm in Bradford, over near Sunapee, and it's very, very different from the seacoast. These are the people that I grew up with in Ohio. They work every day. They're trying to get their kids through school. They're trying to do the right thing in their lives. They're trying to save a little money so maybe one day, maybe they can retire. And it's a hard scrabble life for many of them. But that's how I grew up. My family was poor. And I'm not kidding when I say poor. Sometimes mom and dad would talk about, do we make the house payment or the electric payment this month? It was that tight. And they'd skip one, right? Knowing they could get away with a month. They'd have to figure it out next month. And that's how I grew up. And those are the people that I serve. And those are the people that I respect and love, and I want to succeed. And I'm trying to do a little bit in my small corner of the state to make things better. So I identify with the people of the state too, whether they're from the seacoast or from the western part of the state, which is totally different. And that's helped me to be a better politician, to have a better understanding of the impact that things we do in Concord will have on our citizens. And I always try to do the right thing there. And then having had 3 businesses in the seacoast and now the farm business over in Bradford, I see what small businesses and even mid-sized businesses face in our state. The business profits tax, the business enterprise tax, inflation, the high cost of energy, all of those things. So I think I'm particularly well qualified to do this, to get down to Washington and represent this state. I'm not going down to represent the Republican Party. I will, because that's who I am. But that's not why I'm going. I'm going down for our people, for our citizens, for our children, and for this beautiful, wonderful state. I don't think Chris Pappas is there for that at all. He's down there to represent the party, and he's voting that way. We can't do this anymore. It's time for change.
It is, and Chris Pappas is very good at making himself look more moderate than he is.
Yes, he is.
I think a lot of people now realize that.
Yes. When you look at his votes, open borders, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, he didn't want the big, beautiful bill, called it the big, ugly bill. And imagine this, Anthony. He calls it the big, ugly bill. His family owns a restaurant, if I'm not mistaken. And didn't that big, ugly bill have a tax cut on tips for wait staff? And if they pool tips for a lot of the staff at the restaurant. And he voted against that. How do you do that? I don't know how you do that. And while the bill had a lot of stuff in it I may not be that crazy about, it was much better overall than it was bad. And I think it was the right thing to get that through. But his reaction to it is emblematic of where his party is. They are just opposed to everything that President Trump wants to do or that we want to do. Never mind what the American people want. They'll leave that behind because it's about party first and it's about power. I'm not about any of that. The power needs to be with the people.
I agree. And when I first saw the big, beautiful bill, I was initially very hesitant.
Yep.
And I still have some hesitations. I think it was
Any big bill is scary, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
especially
Obamacare. Go back to that one.
especially as someone that considers themselves on the liberty end of the Republican spectrum. I thought it was a little too much, and there was definitely things in there I don't think should have been in there.
Right.
But as you said, the good outweighed the bad.
By far. And it was great for the economy. The stock market bounced when it passed, and it's setting up a situation that's going to position the United States for enormous growth going forward. And people are worried that it's going to increase the deficit. I dismiss that argument because the Congressional Budget Office scored that bill by using a 1.8% annual growth rate in the economy. You can't show me a 10-year period where we only grew 1.8%, with the possible exception of the Depression. But since World War II, we've grown, on average, over 3% every year. If you score that bill with that situation, the budget balances several years out, a little more than several, 6, 7 years out. And that's what we saw with Reagan, right? It was the same kind of approach. Let's unleash the economy and grow our way out of our deficit. And lo and behold, when Clinton came in, he and Gingrich finished the job that Reagan started, and we had a balanced budget. And boy, has it gone to heck since then. We can get back to it, and I think this is the first step.
So in your time in the Senate, especially this year where a lot got done in New Hampshire, what do you think some of your big wins have been?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question. I don't think of it that way. I think about how I'm helping constituents. And I'll give you one quick story because it's one that really hit me hard. I got a phone call from a constituent a couple roads over. And she called me and she said, Dan, Homeland Security just left. They were here at the house. What'd you do? Right? And they came to tell me that some guy, I'm not going to call him a gentleman because he's not, some guy was at the girls' soccer game, high school, taking pictures of the girls. And then he went home and used AI to undress them. And Homeland Security discovered it because this guy was previously convicted for sharing pornographic images of children online. He wasn't yet in jail, but had been sentenced and went to the game. And they told her, we can't do anything because there's no law against it. There is now. I brought it in as a late file, and we're stopping that crap. It infuriated me. How dare you violate a child? She was 17 years old, and they can't do it anymore. And it's those things that really get to you. But I think the budget was a huge win for all of us. And people say, oh, it's a crappy budget. It's got all these problems. Yeah, to some extent it does. We don't have all the COVID money we had. And we all got real comfortable and used to that. But we knew this was coming. We talked about it 3 years ago. We were looking forward to this budget cycle. That money's not going to be there anymore. It's going to be a tougher budget. It's going to be harder to do. But the people elected us. They gave us a supermajority in the Senate and a significant majority in the House, and elected Kelly Ayotte by 12 points because they knew we were the ones to deal with this situation.
I will say the budget vote in the House was the funnest vote to watch that I have seen in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I was on vacation in Italy, and I had a little bit of downtime, so I decided to watch it.
Yeah.
And man, that was it almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
It almost got sent to
no,
you.
we're well aware. And, the Group 2 stuff was difficult as well, but we managed to get through that, and I think we're in a decent spot there. But, there were some disappointments for me in the budget. The university system is a big disappointment. You go back 20 years ago, we were funding it at about $100 million. This year we're at 87. Next year we're at 77. Well, if you adjust that $100 million forward to today for inflation, we'd be at $167 million. So we're at half of where we were in 2006 with higher education. Now, I understand why to some extent. I don't think the university system has endeared itself to conservatives at all. And as an employee of the University of New Hampshire, I can say, what should I say? They pay me. I can say that many of us conservatives on campus, and there are many of us, are afraid to speak. We're afraid to speak. You'll get a bad teaching schedule. You'll get assigned to the worst committee. You'll get the worst office. There are things they can do at a university to make your life difficult. So we all shut up. Now, they know where I am. I'm done shutting up there. But that's unfortunate. But that's happened at so many universities. So I would say to UNH and to the system, clean it up. You'll get more support because the university system is a huge asset to this state. It's enormous. And I don't think the university system's done a good job of telling that story. What is it that we do for the state of New Hampshire? We engage in research. We get patents. We help businesses grow through the Small Business Development Center and our Entrepreneurship Center. We help farmers and agriculturalists through the cooperative extension. We do amazing things for this state every day, and nobody knows the story. The only way they think about UNH is if the hockey team's at the top of the standings where they haven't been in some time. So we're kind of off the radar. But that's on us to fix, and then we'll do better there. But overall, I think the wins, Anthony, are when you do those things that make people's lives better. If you're able to keep taxes down a little bit, if you're able to ease a regulatory burden, and that's one of the things I'm really proud of. We've tried to remove some of the burdens to construction. You can build something in New Hampshire much faster than Massachusetts, and we can do even better. We have a housing crisis. Let's make it easier to build housing that fits in with the community. I mean, we do have to respect local control at some level until that local control goes crazy. And we have examples of that. I won't share them here, but man, if I told you what some of the communities did in terms of requirements for parking or who can live in a place, it'd probably blow your mind.
I remember the debates in the House.
Yes.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
And in the Senate.
Yeah. But, I think anytime you think about this job and what we do, you have to keep the constituents in mind. What will it do for them? And that's what drives me every day.
That's something I've learned in the few years I've been involved now. Mm-hmm. It's a customer service industry.
Is.
It really is.
And it's
That's
marketing,
the best way
too.
to describe it.
I'm a professor of marketing, right? So it is just that. And And as a marketer, what I teach my students is you always put the customer first. You think about what they want and what they value, and that's what you deliver to them. And when you do that, they'll be satisfied, they'll be happy, they'll develop a positive attitude towards you, they'll buy it again, or they'll vote for you again, right? So you can continue to keep them at the focus of what you're doing. So my job is to add value for my constituents, to be a value add in their lives. It's indirect most of the time, but that's what I want to do. And I want to represent what they need. And what my district needs over there is very different from what Newcastle and that area needed. But they're my customers just as everyone else is, and I understand them, and I think they're great.
Well, we are just about out of time, so feel free to wrap it up.
Oh, boy. You know, I guess I'll make a little bit of a pun. We're at a turning point, Anthony. This is a turning point. And this could be the dawn of a great new age for America. But it wouldn't surprise me if we've got to go through a little darkness to get there. I feel like we just walked into the end of a railroad tunnel. We got to get through that tunnel before the next train, but we can see the light at the other end. Let's go, and let's get this done. We're going to have to compete in the arena of ideas, much more than we have in the past. And we've got to speak the truth, because the other side isn't. And the people are not dumb, and we're reaching them. We're reaching them. My campaign is reaching young people hand over fist, because we understand how they get their information and how they reach conclusions. And we're reaching them where they are and showing them and telling them, you know, that I pay attention to them and care about them, right? And that's the way I've always lived my life. Quick story in the time we have left. When I was a kid, my dad borrowed a shovel from the neighbor. We couldn't afford a shovel. So he borrows a neighbor's shovel, plant a bush or something. And when he's done with it, he hosed it off, and then he put a thin coat of oil on it. I said, Dad, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm cleaning up the shovel. Well, it wasn't clean when you got it. No, but everything you use, especially if you borrow it, you need to give it back in a better condition than when you got it. And that has been my guiding philosophy in life. My job is to leave everything better than I found it. Whether it's the business school at UNH or what I do in my district or the farm, we've improved that place so much and given so much back to the community because of it. And that's why I'm on this planet, to make other people happy and to make the world a better place.
Very well said. Thank you for coming on. And I'll end just by saying, don't be afraid.
No.
Don't stop speaking out. If anything, you have to be louder now.
Start speaking out.
Start speaking out if you haven't been. Now is not the time to be silent. Now is the time to get involved.
Yeah.
As I've been saying, it starts local. Start attending your town councils and your school boards. Get to know them. Reach out to everyone in the community. Run if you can.
Yes, indeed.
If you can.
It's fun.
It is.
Mostly.
Mostly. I'm Anthony Henry. This has been America's Ass. Thank you for watching.